Chelsea Football Club have reportedly begun contract negotiations and transfer talks with the representatives of Romelu Lukaku. The striker is happy currently at Inter Milan, but the future of Conte could be very, very decisive. We know that Harry Kane has handed in a transfer request. One of the front runners for that are Chelsea Football Club, but the press seem to think a move to Stamford Bridge is very much off the cards. So we are going to give you the latest on Harry Kane's transfer and Chelsea's pursuit of Romelu Lukaku. And finally, we want to talk about Tottenham's next manager. Daniel Levy sacked Jose Mourinho a number of weeks ago, and there is still confusion over who the new head coach and manager will be. Could it be the current Belgian manager, Roberto Martinez? Hit that like button. This is the Terrace Transfer Talk. Let's go, people. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Great afternoon ahead for you. We've got some wonderful guests coming on the show. Belgium football expert Sasha Tavolieri will be with us very, very soon. We're talking Lukaku and his proposed move back to Stamford Bridge. We're going to be taking a look at Eden Hazard and what the future looks like for him at Real Madrid. Sasha will be with us in a few moments to go through this. We're also going to talk about the connection with the Belgium head coach and manager Roberto Martinez and the vacant Tottenham Hotspur managerial job as well. Around 3:30, we're also going to be joined by one of the biggest Tottenham fans across socials. Man like Jenkins is going to be here with us. Really excited to speak to him about what's going on at Tottenham. We're also going to cover off the latest on Harry Kane, this transfer saga, and what it means from a Chelsea point of view. Do me a favor, as always, and hit that like button, hit that share button for the Football Terrace, and subscribe as well. We want your super chat questions in. As I say, Sasha is backstage. We'll be bringing him on in just a few moments' time to go through a number of these items. Any questions you have, you may not know the answer to everything we're going to put forward, or have a story because that's the way the world works. But get your super chat questions in as well. But we're going to be going through Lukaku's proposed return to Chelsea, what's going on currently at Inter, will Conte leave as an example? We'll be talking about Roberto Martinez and maybe him joining Tottenham Hotspur as well. I'm intrigued to know what's going to happen to Eden Hazard moving forward, as I'm sure a lot of you are as well. A few people pointing out that Roy Keane's been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Yes, along with King Eric Cantona as well today. So congratulations to Roy Keane and to Eric Cantona for your induction. Also, a massive congratulations to Mason Mount and Bruno Fernandes for winning their respective Club Player of the Year awards. But without any further ado, I'm going to bring Sasha on with us now. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you. Really good.
Good. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Terrace this afternoon. The transfer window is really picking up. The Euros are a few weeks away from starting. So there's so much to discuss and to talk about today. I'd love to first off get your reaction to the big news yesterday that Harry Kane has put in a transfer request at Tottenham. How has that kind of news been received across Europe?
Fact that we know what's happening in the Premier League, and we know how Harry Kane can be important for Tottenham. So for me, it's a bit understandable that this kind of news makes a big happening. You know, it's a player that wanted already to go out of the Spurs, I think 2 years ago. And no, it was last year when Mourinho kept the team, and he talked with him. I think we can see it in the documentary broadcasted by Amazon. When you see that he's talking with him to convince him to stay because he has a project and something like this. And finally, we see that this project that Mourinho had doesn't happen really much, or not as much as everybody wanted. So this is maybe for me the reason why Harry Kane wants to make a grow up in his career. And fact is that for the moment, who can buy a player like Harry Kane? And Harry Kane doesn't want, as everybody know, to go out from the Premier League. So from the moment, it's logical that the name of Chelsea goes out. It's normal that the name of Manchester United goes out. It's something, you know, that you can hear every transfer window. For me, we can be surprised that due to the fact Harry Kane said he wants to leave Manchester United, and Chelsea and also maybe Manchester City will go for the fight for this kind of player.
Yeah, I understand that completely. And I think the only sort of European club that's loosely linked to Harry Kane is Paris Saint-Germain. Now, they could afford him, and I'm sure Tottenham would like to sell him to Paris Saint-Germain because they don't want to give him to a rival in the UK. But Harry Kane, I think he's been quite forthright behind the scenes that he wants to stay in England. He wants to stay close to his family and play his trade here. And there really is only 3 teams on the surface that could afford that. Chelsea are one of them. But Chelsea, Matt Laws and a number of other UK journalists have almost ruled that out in the last 24 hours, saying that Chelsea simply will not do business with Tottenham will not do business with Chelsea over Harry Kane. How do you interpret that? Do you think that's just posturing, or do you think if the money's right, Chelsea could land Harry Kane?
No, for me, it's quite logical because first of all, you have to know that it's the same city, so it's something really understandable. You know, if you would be in Madrid, it would be not understandable that the best player of Atletico goes to Real Madrid. You know, it's just a rivalry question, and it seems to be sane to be like this. Because otherwise, rivalry and what makes the football good, you know, what makes fan happy, would not have any sense. And this is something for me good. The other option, and this is something I understand when you speak about Paris Saint-Germain, it's the link that everybody knows between Paris Saint-Germain and Tottenham with the famous intermediary Pini Zahavi. And everybody knows that Daniel Levy is really close to him, and when he wants to make big deals, he prefers to work with him. I'm not saying that Pini Zahavi is not close to Paris, Chelsea, but fact is that Daniel Levy is absolutely not ready to do this kind of exchange or to do this kind of business with the club that he's supposed to fight with next year, you know, and this is really understandable. But if Paris Saint-Germain wants to do the deal, okay, that could be a possibility. But as you told just now, of course, this is not possible for the moment. So Paris Saint-Germain should be and could be interested. This is not something I'm not denying this, but
yeah,
what's pretty sure is that it will be really bizarre if Harry Kane decided to go out of England.
I completely agree with that. I think that's fair, and it gives. I think that's with the Chelsea situation. It gives Chelsea this chance. At the moment, they're going to say no, we're not dealing with Chelsea. But if Man United only offer 80 million, and if Man City offer 90 million, but Chelsea come in and say there's 130 million pounds, we want him. Money talks in this game, and the world can change overnight. Spurs will come out with some PR spin as to why they let it happen. Oh, we respect Harry Kane too much. We're taking that money to rebuild for your future. There'll be some kind of spin. Chelsea are talking to another striker, though. I know you tweeted about this yesterday, the possibility of the return for around 80 million euros of Lukaku back to Stamford Bridge. Could you give us some more information on that proposed move?
Yes, of course. This is why I quite I accept also a part this kind of invitation, because I'm really pleased to be with you. First of all, it's a great pleasure for me to speak in English and to be with you right now. But fact is that some people doesn't understand really good what I was telling, in the tweet. So if I can clarify it right now, should be good for everybody. Fact is that we know that the situation of Inter Milan is impossible for the moment in the point of view economic. So he is one of the players supposed to bring as fast as possible money that they need, absolutely, the owner, Mr. Zhang. So this is something that can help absolutely the club. And what I can confirm is that they are, for the moment, and it's not now, it's not from now, it's from months, talking with the agent, with the entourage of the player. But the closest club that could reach the possibility to bring in England Lukaku is absolutely Chelsea, because of the fact, Chelsea has always been the first club of Romelu Lukaku. He dreamed about it for years, when he was in Belgium, and when he came, he didn't achieve something he really wanted to, and it was, like a big a step back in his career, and he wanted maybe to do it again, and to bring and come back as a king, as what he's called for, he's called the king, and the comeback of a king should be something really great for him. Also, there is something really important. The only club, of course, we are not talking about Premier League, but one of the biggest club who are really interested. It's of course Chelsea, but there is also Manchester United, and this is something really important. Just please, to the moment, somebody has to enter in my house. I'm just coming back 2 minutes. I'm sorry. This is something that can happen live. I'm coming.
Not a problem at all. We'll see you in just a few short moments. He's gone off to do what he's got to do there. Interesting there, as you say, the financial situation at Inter Milan makes this plausible. Chelsea have been talking to the entourage, as he says. We're going to get more on that in a few moments. He's back with us again now. Welcome back. Thank you.
I'm sorry, it was my wife, she had to come back at home, and I don't know why I put the key on the door and he couldn't enter to the home. So sorry for that. Just what I wanted to say about Lukaku is that he's, of course, one of the players that will get a lot of interest. But Chelsea has something more, and he has a story to end with Chelsea. He has something to repair. And this is something the most important, because if I tell you about Manchester United, yes, of course, United can be one of the club to discuss with Federico Pastorello, his agent, to start the discussion. But for the moment, the only club that can do something, it's Chelsea. It's not done. I'm not saying it's done, but I'm saying the interest is real and talks ongoing.
So just so I can clarify on this, Chelsea are interested. They've had those conversations with the agent about bringing him back. So a lot of them, and we understand that Inter Milan have problems financially. They haven't paid Manchester United £40 million still that's owed for Lukaku. So we know that they need to raise money, and Lukaku, you're saying that Lukaku is seen as that asset that could be used to raise money. So to clarify that. In terms of Lukaku, one of the sort of challenges people have is that he's happy at Inter Milan, so why would he move? Is his desire to finish his business, to return to Chelsea as a king, is that a bigger desire for him than maybe staying at Inter Milan, in your opinion?
In my opinion, he's really happy in Inter Milan, and what he is doing, it's amazing for him. He achieved something amazing. But there is a point who is the most important point of his coming in Inter Milan was Antonio Conte. He comes because of Antonio Conte. It was after and he talked about it. It was after the match. It was a friendly match between Belgium and Italy. And Italy won 3-1 from no, I think it was Belgium. Belgium won 3-1, and after he come back, out of the game, and they discussed together, and they had a big conversation at this moment. And he understands, Lukaku understands that he wanted to be a better player, to do biggest thing in his career, he has to train with Antonio Conte. Fact is that right now we are talking about a departure of Antonio Conte, and this is something that can really change the mind of Romelu Lukaku because of the fact he can, of course, ask to himself the question to say, okay, what can I do right now more than what I have already done with Antonio Conte? And this is for Romelu Lukaku the most important question. The most important thing for Romelu Lukaku is continue to grow up and continue to make what he's doing, but better and better and better. He's a winner.
I totally understand that. And as you say, with Conte, the rumors are that he may be leaving. Essentially, if he stays, it's likely that Lukaku may. But if he leaves, then Lukaku's world is blown open, which is why it's important for Chelsea to have those conversations, to be ready to strike while the iron is hot. A lot of our viewers are asking as well, what about Martinez? Martinez is hot property across Europe. Are there any Premier League teams or European teams in conversations with maybe looking to sign him this summer?
Yes, of course. Due to this great old Pinizavi, who talked about it publicly, of course, in the Belgian press, he said, of course, that he tried to convince and also to talk about Roberto Martinez to the owner of Tottenham, so Daniel Levy. And this is something important, because we don't know for the moment how it's going to be for Roberto Martinez. But if a big team like Tottenham is coming with the potential and the ambitions that he have for that they have for the future, for me it's possible, really possible, that Roberto Martinez can go. And if they can get this possibility, and if he can get this possibility, he will do it. He will do it, because what does he has to do more in Belgium? The only thing that can maybe make him stay in Belgium, it's the fact that he's also the technical director of all the federation. So he has both of job, and this is something important, because he has a plan. He has a great idea on how you play football, on how what kind of system, tactical system you have to proceed in, how young, talented and international Belgian players have to play, and something like this. So if you think about this, maybe it can change his mind. But it's pretty also the game of the Euro. If he wants something at the Euro, he will ask to himself the question for sure. He will say, okay, I make the turn here, I have to move. I have to move for my own career. And this is something that he did when he come to Belgium. He come to Belgium to make his career, how do you say, happen again. It's something that
like a rebirth, because he did Everton. It kind of didn't work for him, and he moved away from Everton. And I think there's a bit of a clout, especially in the UK. There was almost this element of, well, nobody of Everton's size or bigger was going to give him an opportunity, and he's gone to Belgium, and this
was the burst of his arrival in Belgium. He was there to make a rebirth, and what he's going to do seems to be like this. So should be logical if he goes out.
It will be an interest, especially if Belgium win the Euros, then maybe it will be that natural win the Euros and then sort of retire and resign from that job. We know the draw of the Premier League and the money of the Premier League, though, is a big thing for managers and a big thing for people in football. So we will see. In terms, there's another Martinez that the viewers are interested in Inter Milan attacker Lautaro Martinez. Are there any rumors about him leaving in the summer, or any of the Premier League clubs linked with a transfer for him that you're aware of?
For the moment, I'm not aware of this. Don't want to lie about something that I don't know. But fact is that he made an amazing season, and he made a couple with Lukaku, who was pretty the best couple of the Europe. So for me should be logical. Apparently, Barcelona is going to sign Aguero, so maybe not this kind of striker for Barcelona, who will put the concurrence of this player, this club off. So it will open the door for Premier League clubs. But how much did Inter Milan will ask? If they ask maybe 80 million for Lukaku, you can think about 100 or 110 million. It's an amazing amount. Who will be able to pay this?
Yes, it's as you say. This is the thing. It's if Lukaku was to leave, are they going to let Lukaku leave and Martinez leave at the same time? Maybe not. Depends how much money that they raise. You might want to hold on to Martinez for another year or two because that value is going to keep growing at that one time. I think it's a real interesting one. Keep going back to Belgium slightly. Maybe I don't know what the Belgians consider to be their best player. Certainly one of the best Belgian players that I've ever seen play in Eden Hazard has had a tough time at Real Madrid. Injuries. I always think if you came down from space as an alien and you watched football for the first time in the last 2 years, you wouldn't think that Eden Hazard was a very good player. He's not been great. What does his future look like? Zidane looks like he's leaving. It was Zidane that wanted him massively. Is he likely to leave Real Madrid this summer? What clubs are looking at buying him? And how do you see the next couple of years looking for Eden Hazard?
If I base the opinion of Eden Hazard only, I would say to you that he will stay, because he doesn't make good things in Real Madrid, and his 2 years there seems to be a nightmare. So the objective, and that's what also all his entourage is saying, is to stay and to convince people that he is as much as talented that what we saw in Chelsea and at Stamford Bridge. So for me, it's not the question of what Eden Hazard wants. Eden Hazard wants to say. For me, it's pretty 100% sure. The problem is Real Madrid. The fact is that Real Madrid is not convinced that there is a lot of pressure on the player. That seems not to be good to live also for Eden Hazard, and he has not also been in good behavior. His behavior was not the perfect one when you come to Real Madrid. And I talked about I read an interview of John Bicco, who was his advisor agent. And it was a really interesting one, because in this interview you understand that fact is that the choice of Real Madrid was not completely a choice of reason. It was a choice of heart. So he decided to go in Real Madrid. Doesn't matter why, doesn't matter how he wants to play. He just wanted to go in Real Madrid. So there were nobody to say to him, okay, it's maybe better to go in Barcelona or in another club for the kind of players you are. It's maybe better to go there, So this is something he has not understand, and he left his agent, and right now he's with his father. And I think this is something maybe sometimes important, to have someone who say to you, no, you can't do this. This is not possible. Fact is that Eden Hazard is tasting the frustration right now. He's tasting what's the frustration in football means like. But if he just understands a bit the frustration, what his ex-agents said, maybe this frustration doesn't happen. It was just the fact to say, okay, I really wanted to go in Real Madrid, but it's not the kind of club that can bring me, at another level after to be an alien at Chelsea, to be better and better again. And he decided to do something just as he wanted. And this is maybe sometimes the problem. Just Eden Hazard, at the difference of someone like Lukaku or someone like Kevin De Bruyne, just do what he wants to do, just not talk to anyone, not understand something that can be understandable and that can make him improve and be better. And he doesn't understand this, and he doesn't listen to this, and this is something that he's putting him in not so good situation for the moment.
Yeah, one of the biggest kind of criticisms of of Eden Hazard has always been the professionalism. There is an element to. So I look at Hazard now, and my question is, does he have the fight and the drive and the desire to relaunch his career? You look at Lukaku as an example. Went to Man United. It didn't go how he wanted. He went on to Inter Milan, not as big a club, but he's fought tooth and nail to now put himself in a position again where he can stay there and be a hero. He's a title winner. First time is that the first time Inter Milan have won a title in what 10, 11 years or something like this? You know, he's gone to that. So he can stay there and become a legend, or he now has big clubs again that want to sign him. I'm not too sure right now if a big club, I mean, Hazard's still going to be expensive. He's still going to be expensive. I don't know whether after the 2 years he's had of injuries, a big club is going to risk spending 110 million pounds on Eden Hazard, paying him 300,000, 400,000 pound a week for him not to be fit, for him not to be ready, for him not to be able to play. So it's about Eden Hazard now, in my opinion, showing everybody that not what his ability is unquestioned. His ability is tip top, but it's about having that desire, that passion, and that work rate to get yourself back to the levels that we saw from him at Chelsea. If he doesn't, I can imagine, and right now it looks like Allegri could be taking over as the manager of Real Madrid. Now, Allegri's teams, they have to work hard. They have to be disciplined. They have to be fit. So how he's going to fit in with the new manager, I don't quite know. But the next 12 months are going to be interesting for him. On Belgian football, the Euros is starting in a few weeks' time. You're all in the last sort of 3 or 4 tournaments. Belgium have always been tipped as one of the, if not the favourites. Of course, France go into this as the best team in the world. What's the feeling like in Belgium, amongst the Belgian people, about your chances at Euro 2020 or Euro 2021? I'm not too sure what they call it. I think they call it Euro 2020.
Yes, for the moment, it's not so sure, but you can say 2020.
Yeah. Just say the Euros. What are your chances, in your opinion?
For me, it's logical that Belgium is not favorite. And Belgium has never been good in a position of favorite. If you're waiting for Belgium, on the field, they will not show you what you want. So this is something clear for me. But the fact is that we are pretty good when we are outsiders. So when we are not so much expected, we make better results that when we are waiting, really waited. Like, I don't know if you remember it was the match against Japan in during the World Cup, and this match just proved what I'm saying. You know, we went really favorite. Everybody said that we will win easily, and finally we just won thanks to a head of Marouane Fellaini, and it was something, you know, nothing to do with good football, and we were really scared to be out. And this is something that makes, I think, all the team of Belgium happen. And then the performance against Brazil and this semi-final of the World Cup. So when we are in position to be the favorite, you're not good. But when we are outsiders, it can be something important. But
I know that is we had our golden generation maybe 15 years or so ago with Beckham, Gerrard, Lampard, Ashley Cole, and we were expected to win every game, every tournament. Our press made us favourites, and we always crumbled. The 2018 World Cup was so amazing because there was zero expectation on us as a team, and we had our best tournament of my adult life. We did pretty well in 1999 when I was very young. But yeah, it's an interesting one with Belgium. I feel like you're dark horses in the Euros because there isn't the expectation for you to go and win this time round, and maybe people take you a little bit lighter, if that makes sense, which can always help in regards to that. Final question we have for you this afternoon. Thank you very much for coming on and talking Lukaku, Roberto Martinez, and those stories. Who are what we love in the Premier League of buying young players from the continent. You know, the likes of Paul Pogba come from the French system but moved into England. Are there any young up and coming Belgian players that you're aware of that are linked with some moves to some of the big Premier League clubs, sort of some real stars that yourselves in Belgium think are going to be the next Hazards, the next KDBs?
Oh, we can talk about Jeremy Doku, who were linked when he was 15 years old to Liverpool. He signed a pre-contract and finally doesn't sign with Liverpool. He's right now playing in Stade Rennais. He will be in the 26 players, in the list of the 26 players selected by Roberto Martinez. So this is really, really big player. He has a potential. He has a power in his feet. Amazing. He has a potential to be one of the best in the future. You were talking about the future Hazard. He has something like this in his feet. I feel it when I see this. He is only 18 years old. He's a 2002 only, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see how we proceed. But there is also good players in the championship, in the Belgian championship. We doesn't talk a lot about it, but the Belgian Pro League has a lot of talent. We can talk about Zinho van Heusden, who is for me the best defender that is coming. There is also in the midfield Brian Einen, who is the captain of KRC Genk. I don't know if you remember, but they already transferred a player who is playing right now in Sheffield United. It was a defensive midfielder from Norway.
Yes, I know exactly. I can't remember. Sanderberg.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's playing at the pretty same position, and he's amazing. He's a Belgian one. There is also Sambi Lokonga, who is also the captain of Anderlecht. So he's a central midfielder. And when we have also all the type of talents, but this is for me kind of profiles that can be good in a close future in the Premier League.
There we go. Listen, I really appreciate that, Sasha, you coming on today, giving us that big Lukaku update as well. Just to remind everybody, Chelsea have had conversations with the representatives of Lukaku to try and bring him back to the Premier League. Financial troubles and concerns at Inter Milan, and maybe with the exit of Conte, could lead to this happening. It's going to be a big summer for Chelsea, especially in that striker department. Sasha, it'd be great to get you on again in the future sometime soon, and we'll speak to you again soon. Top man.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. And if I can do something for you, you know that I'm there.
Not a problem at all. Speak to you soon, Sasha. All the best. Thank you very much indeed. Top man, thank you. We're going to be getting Cenk on in a few moments. Big Tottenham fan. We need to speak about what's going on at Tottenham. Harry Kane's transfer request, who the new manager is going to be. I'm intrigued to speak to some more Spurs fans about that. Make sure you're hitting that like button and you're hitting the share button right now on the terrace. Make sure you're getting that done. We'll get Cenk on right now. Welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. As you can imagine, it's been quite hectic at Spurs. Manager Harry Kane. This summer's massive, and you can only imagine the pressure that's on the hierarchy at the moment, and only time will tell how it pans out. So it's certainly going to be interesting. A lot of the big clubs as well. United, it's big. City, Liverpool, you know, it's going to be a good summer, and it's going to be interesting as well. Players potential on the market, so yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Mate, no doubt about it. And I think that every club has got its problems or its weak spots or areas to focus. You've got the so-called lack of finances that's holding everybody back, but all the clubs still want. The irony is all the clubs want to sell for huge money, but buy for a pittance, which is going to create its own sort of issue. On Harry Kane putting in his transfer request, though, how did you take that as a Spurs fan, first of all? Secondly, do you see him leaving?
Terry, do you know what? When I first saw the news on Sky Sports, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't fazed at all. We're a club who haven't won enough. We haven't won trophies since 2008, let alone not won enough trophies. So there's that, and I'm completely not surprised. We're a total mess. I mean, if you look at Harry Kane, can you imagine him walking into that dressing room and just thinking, what is going on? Like the team is completely on its last legs. The ball has been poor in terms of recruiting and capitalizing on when we peaked as such. In terms of under Pochettino, the investment wasn't there, and it's just been tough. It has, and for a player who's been here since he was a little lad, he's probably had enough, and rightfully so. He probably wants a refresh. Whether that comes about and whether a team is going to pay the money and slap the serious money on the table, we're talking a big transfer fee, one of the highest in probably footballing history. So it's going to be interesting. And again, like I said, I'm not surprised in any way, shape or form, and I wouldn't begrudge him if he leaves. So fair play to him. He's done a lot for us, and he probably does want a refresh. But at the same time, the time is so important with transfers, and is it going to come about? I don't know. It's as you say, the COVID economy in football, is going to make things very, very difficult.
I agree. I sort of, you know what, like we cover all the top six here, and it's sometimes I try not to be biased. I try and look at it level-headed. When I look, I've been talking for 2, maybe 3 seasons, and sort of after quite a number of Spurs games when we go live, talking about Kane needs to leave, and I've never meant it from a place of bitterness towards Tottenham. My dad's a Spurs fan. He'll phone me up. It's like, why are you saying that for? It's like, Dad, I'm just giving my honest opinion. I look at Harry Kane and I just see a player that's so good. And actually, he's so good. And because he's not winning major trophies, he gets disrespected. And I look at it and just think, I want Harry Kane. It's purely about him and not the clubs. I want him to get his flowers. I want him to be respected and looked at as one of the greatest players. You know, we've seen Alan Shearer and Thierry Henry, Cantona, all inducted into the Hall of Fame. Harry Kane as an individual player, in terms of the goals he scored, has done enough, in my opinion, to be someone in the future that's considered for the Hall of Fame. He doesn't win any trophies, not even... Gerrard gets bantered, or he shouldn't be in it because he didn't win the Premier League. But Gerrard's won Champions Leagues, FA Cups, League Cups. You know, to have none of that, I would just feel sorry for Harry Kane. So I push for it for a long way. But you're right, the money. The money has to be there, because you're not letting him go, in my opinion, for anything less than like 100 million is where I look at it. 100 million and maybe a player involved. That's the only way I can see it happening. And it's then who can actually afford to do that. And Man United have been half ruled out. I know the bookmakers are still saying we're favourites, but a lot of the top journalists are saying Man United just don't have the money. So they're not doing it, as an example. You then got City and Chelsea. And I wanted to ask you about Chelsea, because they seem to be the ones who financially could do it. But the word out of Tottenham is, it's negotiable. We won't touch Tottenham. How do you see that as a Spurs fan?
I don't see him going anywhere near Chelsea, if I'm being totally honest. We haven't dealt with them in terms of trading players for a very, very long time. I mean, I think the last one was like Kudicini. Like, it's never, ever been anything major. We've never done business with them. They've never done business with us, only at a very rare stage. And if you actually rewind it back to Luka Modric, when he wanted to leave the club, even Daniel Levy then said no. And that was Luka Modric. If you're thinking about Harry Kane, who's arguably, and even maybe ×2, a bigger asset because of the finances in football now, is massive. And for him to be obviously one of our owners, let's say, and etc., is bigger than just, you know, to Chelsea. If he doesn't sell even Modric to them, I don't see him doing Kane to Chelsea. And another thing as well, as you alluded to, in terms of when you look at the Hall of Fame, when he looks back on his career, I've got a feeling that it could be Letitia vibes in terms of fantastic player, scores goals. You watch him play football and you're like, wow, but he never won anything. And he's sort of stayed at Southampton, etc. And he was a sort of a loyal to them and never got that big move, or never did it, etc. So it's going to be an interesting one. And either way, without my Spurs bias involved and my love for the club and how much I like Harry Kane, he's got to leave. If he wants to win trophies, he's got to leave. And that's the harsh reality of it. And that's the situation we're in. Because if not, we don't look like we're going to win a trophy anytime soon. And that's just the sheer reality of it. And if he goes to United, he turns you guys into challengers. He goes to City, he turns them into a machine, in fact. And Liverpool, for example, maybe another side, but I don't see Chelsea. But you get the point I'm saying. He turns a team that's edging that sort of title, and he turns them into that challenger, that serious team.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think with what's interesting with Man United, I think he would paper over cracks, and I mean that in a positive for him and negative for us. In a few years' time, our holes would come to fruition again. I do look at Liverpool though, and I look at City, and it's a scary prospect of Harry Kane going there, because this season, for everything that's gone wrong at the back for Liverpool, the biggest issue has been conversion rate. Firmino doesn't score enough goals, and Mane's had a terrible year. If they had a Harry Kane up front this season, what I love about Kane, he's got a lot of nicknames, but I call him Half Chance Kane because he scores all them half chances. He scores goals that shouldn't be goals. The one-on-ones and the sitters, he scores the vast majority. The lion's share he scores, but it's all the time that he has the ball in the box or at the edge of the box, and you sort of think no real danger, and he manages to get it in the back of the net. He would score in this City team. I honestly think he would break the goal scoring record in a singular season. There's no doubt about that in my mind. He's an absolute phenom, and it just scares me about him going to a rival. I'd love him to go abroad, rather than join a rival of mine. However, I don't think he wants to. So it's going to be an interesting summer in relation to him, where he goes, and then I suppose what it is you will do with that money in terms of do you trust? I know you were at the protest the other day. Well done. Actually, I was saying it looked like a really good day, and then it looked like a nice evening out as well. I saw the food. I need some of that. But I miss London so much because the food where I live is just not as good as London food, bruv. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, can you see your club and your board reinvesting that money correctly, or do you see sort of the Gareth Bale 2.0 scenario again?
Oh, do you remember that? The only good player that came out of that was Christian Eriksen. Vlad Kirikesh, Eric Lamela, so underwhelming. And you talk about investing that money again. If we had proper football men at the club, maybe I would think, do you know what? Fair enough. But we're going to invest this money cleverly, like Coutinho and Liverpool, and they turned into a different team. They reshaped everything, and they got even better, and they got over that line. But with us, we haven't got that, and we got a board that are incompetent. They don't know how to recruit on a consistent basis, and the talent identification is like bottom, right? And if it was to happen, you need to reinvest that money, but you need to reshape things as well. So it'd be a centre half. I think you need a number 10, and you need to replace the goals and assists. So maybe a number 9, but someone, maybe 2 of them. So maybe one that's a bit more out wide and one maybe central. So like a Patson Daka, a Vlahovic, someone like that. Maybe, it's ambitious and it's unrealistic, but someone of the caliber of Jack Grealish, that sort of players, the Sabitzers, etc. So I don't trust them at all, if that's your question. But I see your point about reinvesting into the team, because it needs to happen. You can't pocket that money and not replace Harry Kane. He's one of the best players in the world. So it's going to be a difficult one.
It is. I think the appointment of your manager, which we're going to get onto in a minute, is important as well, because I have seen teams lose their best player and get better. Liverpool are a very modern example. I remember the season. They didn't really spend any money, but I remember when Wayne Rooney joined Man United, people kind of forget that the following season, Everton came fourth. They made it into the champion. They had an amazing year. There could be an element of the team galvanizing, because you know what's going to be said. Harry Kane leaves, Spurs get written off. Like rivals and the media will say, they're done now. He's gone. You sometimes see this spike, people stepping up when they need to. I mean, one of the best performances I've ever seen from Spurs was without Harry Kane in the semi-final of the Champions League. So they've done it on all occasions, but it's about doing that from a longevity point of view. But the managerial appointments are interesting. We had Sasha on earlier that spoke about Roberto Martinez. There have been conversations with him via his intermediaries, nothing concrete as of yet. He's a journalist, but as a Belgian man, they're worried and concerned that Spurs will make an offer for him. But I hear rumors for Roberto Martinez. We hear Graham Potter. We hear Gareth Southgate's name keeps coming up every now and then. Who do you see as the? I know. I'm the Spurs fan. I'd actually said to my dad, I said, I won't even banter that if you get Southgate. That's just, imagine going from Pops to Southgate.
Don't even, please.
I know, mate. It would be awful. Who do you see as the front runner, and more importantly, who do you want to come in and take your team forward again?
Yeah, who I see, I think if, as bad as it does sound, if Fulham would have stayed up, I think they might have even gone for Scott Parker, and that's a name I don't want our club to go anywhere near. As you mentioned, Graham Potter's one at Brighton. Yes, I understand the good football, XG Masters, XG Champions, that's the tag. Potter's a fantastic manager, and if you look at his career, how it's panned out from Ostersund's to Swansea to Brighton, he's making that gradual step up. And if you get Potter in, it's a big risk, and that's without a doubt. He's got to come into the club, and it's a massive project. You've got your best player that's reportedly wants to leave, unhappy. You've got a group of players that are broken, are shattered to pieces, and a massive operation is needed. So a big test of his character and his ability to reconstruct a team in such a state pretty much. And there's a lot of pressures, albeit we're not classed as a big club, there's a lot of pressures that come with a Tottenham job, especially the state we're in, how much we've declined. So there's that. There's also the Martinez. Not for me, to be honest with you. I don't think he's got the international. Yeah, he's okay, but it doesn't get me off my seat. I'm not excited. I don't think he can do that rebuild, or he can't get that project underway. Because for me, Terry, it's kind of like the cliche 5-year rebuild or 5-year project where you look into a team and you've got to have a plan. You've got to give that plan to the ball, to the fans. We've got to have a clear vision. Unfortunately, under Jose, we didn't have that direction. Under Poch, it died out. So we've got to have someone who's going to come in and inspire the whole team, the whole club, and get us back on our feet again. And I don't think that appointment is going to be the next one. And it's going to be someone who's just going to come in, get us playing all right again, and sort of be that short-term stop, if you get what I'm trying to say.
I'm just listening intently. I couldn't agree with you more. And it's interesting because you said we're not a big club. A lot of the gooners in the comment section are like, you admitted you're not a big club. I always love that take. Well, I think it's so I always call you a big club. I just say you're not a giant club. So again, everyone's got different interpretations. If big is Man United, then Spurs are not big. But
yeah.
It's always relative, and I think that's I always love that kind of conversation because everyone has a different kind of barometer. I look at clubs like Spurs and Everton and Newcastle. I look at you all as big clubs. There's just that next level up where it goes. But you were there. You were so close on the Poch, and I think that as an outsider looking in, that mistake was Daniel Levy's.
Yeah.
When he went for Jose, I did have a little bit of a wobble moment where I was like, actually, maybe there's a genius stroke here, but that was more me being concerned with him, with Jose achieving something with you he didn't with us. But I just thought to myself initially, and I should have stuck to my gut feeling, this is not the right direction. Poch took you from where you were to Champions League finalists and continually finishing in the top 4, which is something Spurs hadn't achieved in the Premier League era or for a long, long time. And it was just a complete change of direction, style of football, the man management. I do feel like with the managers you're now being linked with, barring Southgate, there is this element back of good football, developing young players, maybe not working with the biggest and the best names in the game in terms of signing ready-made stars such as what Harry Kane is now, but developing players into that. And that felt like a model that was working for Spurs. I felt all you needed to do was rejuvenate that with another manager. And I don't think you'd have had this drop-off that you've seen. And say your drop-off, you're only a handful of points away from top 6. So top 4. It isn't like you're a million miles away from challenging. So this managerial appointment, and then if Kane leaves, the reinvesting of this money, it's going to be so key. And as you say, big summer for everybody involved. In terms of the protests and everything else that have gone on with Spurs, is this something you sort of feel is going to continue into next season, or you're not too sure? Because Man United are doing it, and I love seeing it, but I'm still not convinced it will outlive the summer, if that makes sense.
I get what you mean. And in terms of the movement, it should be something that has to be consistent. Because you protesting once with 200, 300 people, 400 people, 1,000 people is not going to get the club to sell up. It's a fact. But it's good to get your voice out there, and it's good to get the message out there. Sky Sports are on it. You're getting your banners out there. The message is out. And I know the club knew about the protest because when I arrived early, there were stewards outside already. That's when the club have thought, right, let's up security a little bit. And they probably saw the scenes at Old Trafford, some people breaking. There's always that risk and that thought, oh, what happens? What's going to happen? We don't know. So the security was there early, and the club knew. So, protests are sparked around the country. Chelsea, you see the ESL stuff. United being the most sort of prominent in terms of protests and the effect of it. Arsenal as well. And that even also almost sparked a bid out of it off the back of the protest. So, there is things that come out of it, and that pressure is there. And you see on Sky Sports, the reporters getting into the Glazers' face, asking them questions, and it brings up that conversation, and it's a talking point. So, I think that's the main thing for me. And I don't see Daniel Levy, Enoch going anywhere. I think I can echo some of the thoughts of other clubs as well. Glazers, are they in a position to sell? Probably not. But it's putting pressure on them and getting the message across that we're not happy because they're human. They have emotions. They have phones. They've got PR teams. They will know. So it comes through them somewhere or another. They can't hide forever. And that's how it is. So it has to be a consistent movement, and we'll probably look to trying to get movements going. And the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust are doing something tomorrow for our game as well. with some banners, etc. So it is carrying on. It's not just a one-time thing.
Yeah, no, you know, I said on a few of these streams, I don't judge anybody for how they want to support a football club. If they want to, if they want to protest, don't. If they want to buy kits, don't. Go for it. Like, I just don't. When I say I don't care enough, I don't believe in generally speaking, telling people how to live their lives, how to support their clubs, or whatnot. Sometimes I tweet things and people take it the wrong way. You know, I'll send it. If you, I don't know, if you don't rate Rashford, you're not a Man United fan. People sometimes take those kind of tweets seriously. Like, how dare you say who are? It's like, bro, have a day off. I don't mean it. Like, sometimes I've kind of stopped interacting a lot on Twitter recently because I had a conversation with someone that I followed for years, and he's thought for 4 years I've always had a problem with him. He goes, "Did you always challenge things that I said?" I was like, "Mate, just having a laugh." Like,
it's Twitter. It's just Twitter.
When I first started Twitter, it was about banter. It was about having a laugh. It's become so serious that people kind of, I'm not even interacting with people. I'll DM people. You know what I mean? Like, we've had a few like DM conversations, and that I'm just like, I'm not even putting it out there anymore because people are mad. There's a question here though, super chat. I'm going to pose it to yourself as a Spurs fan. Would you take Gabriel Jesus, Laporte plus 20 million for Harry Kane?
You know what? No disrespect to John and the idea, but I'm sorry, I've got to laugh at that. Like, Harry Kane, we've got to be talking 100 mil minimum, and that's at the very least is the minimum. Jesus and Laporte on top, I understand, top quality centre half. Jesus in and about the City team, does have a goal in him now and again, but he's not a proven 25 goal in the Premier League a season player. So there's that, but it's got to be a big fee. Daniel Levy would shut the door on City's face if that ever come along. So I see the vision, but nah, it's surely not like that. That's too low of a bid or offer in terms of players and stuff as well.
Yeah, I absolutely get that. Get your super chat questions in, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to open up the lines now to come and have your say about any of the subject matters that have been spoken about today. Obviously, we had Sasha, I need to pronounce his surname right, Tavalieri, on a little bit earlier, speaking Lukaku and a few other transfer dealings as well. A lot of you are asking about Liverpool. He's a Belgium football expert, as we said in the chat, so he's not really au fait with things outside of the Belgium sphere. So that's why I didn't ask him, because it's not really fair. We asked him a question earlier about Lautaro Martinez, and he said it's not really my field. I don't know anything. I'm not going to lie. So I thought there's no point asking him questions outside of that sphere. So we're going to take some calls. Keep it clean, keep it sensible. We're going to change that over to here like that. We're going to press this different background. First up, we're going to get Marble Halls TV. Now, I know this is a gooner. What are you here to say, mate?
You can hear me.
Yes, bro.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Kane thing. I know obviously I'm Arsenal, but I do think objectively that he does need to leave. But I just want to talk about, not many people talking about Liverpool. I think that'll be a good option for him. Firmino's a good player, but I think part of the reason Liverpool haven't done well this season is because tactically they're a bit kind of limited and stale. I think if you had someone like Kane at Liverpool who could drop deep like Firmino does, who obviously scores a lot of goals. Yes, he gets injured a few times a season, but you know, this season he's been injured a bit, but he still is top of the scoring charts, and could win another Golden Boot. So it balances out really. So I just want to just raise that Liverpool really, I think, will be a good option for him. As for Lukaku going to Chelsea, I suppose, but I think Chelsea really, in my opinion, need defenders more. But yeah, but about Kane to Liverpool, I think that's something I think Liverpool fans should be clamoring for, really, because Firmino's a good player, but they need to move on beyond him. Plus, Sadio Mane hasn't done that well this season, and I think if Liverpool did have Kane, then they would be really, really challenging back up there like they were obviously last season.
Yeah, I agree with you. Kane at Liverpool would scare the living bejesus out of me. There's no doubt about it. Listen, Marble, thank you very much for coming on, having your say, mate. I appreciate that. We did have someone earlier on, Cenk, who said, are you aware of the player Alexander Isak?
Yep, the Swedish guy, right? If I'm correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Sociedad. Is it Sociedad?
Yeah, that's one. So I test. He's one of our resident callers. He said that he would rather Isak over Harry Kane, because Harry Kane's only scored 16 Premier League goals this year, not like from open play, and this 18, and this kid's got 16 and he's younger. But he loves him off. It made me laugh, really. I wish Tess was here now to give you his thoughts on that. Get your calls into us, people. Mohammed's with us next. What you saying, Mohammed? Are you there, mate?
Hello, hello, can you hear me?
Kind of. Your signal's a bit janky, but go for it.
Yeah, so I think Kane would be a good option for Liverpool, but we would have to sell someone first in order to buy him, because it goes back to the Sancho thing when we were linked with him last week. We need to sell someone to buy him because that's how FG run.
Yeah, who would you sell?
Yeah, that's how,
in that case, who would you sell? Who would you sell?
Sorry?
Who would you sell?
I would sell Firmino because he would be the one to leave, considering he's been off form the most over the last 2 seasons. Mane just come off form this season, so I would give Mane one more season to see what he does next season. And if we do get Kane, it will be very, very good for us going forward, and that will just put us right one of the favourites in the title for next season.
I hear you on that. I really do. Listen, Mohammed, thank you for calling in, mate, and having your say. Top man. Thank you. I had a question for you, actually, Jenk, as well. While we wait for more callers. Martial plus 50 million.
You tested me, Terry. You tested me. You're trying it. You're testing the waters. Again, Martial, I think is. Do you know what, with Martial? I think consistency is his biggest issue. He's got the attributes to be a very good Premier League player, but I don't see it week in, week out. I think Rashford shows him levels to an extent. I think he's a player. If I'm Spurs and we're playing United and I'm sitting there at the game and I see Rashford on the team sheet, I think, yeah, that's a threat. I see Martial and I don't necessarily get, I'm not worked up and thinking, oh, he's going to have a great day against whoever's playing fullback. I'm not entirely. What do you think of Martial? Again, I'm not entirely sure, on him. I'm not convinced.
I really rate him. I see him more as an inside forward, though. I always have. Of course, when he plays as a 9 and he scores, I shout my number 9. But I see him as when you remove the banter, ladies and gentlemen, those two, banter and seriousness can exist at the same time. I see him as an inside forward. When he plays out wide, I think he's dangerous. I think he's scary. I think he can cause problems. As a number 9, I think he lacks the progressive movement and finding space in that box. And when he gets a chance to score, he's had a really bad year this season in terms of scoring. Conversion rate's been at about 4%, where normally it's about 28%. So he's just had a bad year in terms of that. But I think a Cavani, a Harry Kane, a Haaland, their movement will get them in at least 10 times a season into those better goal scoring opportunities. And those extra 5-6 goals from that can be an extra 12 points because they're decisive. So I would love to keep him at Man United, but as an inside forward, challenging Rashford, hopefully Sancho in those positions. And I think that's the issue with him. I would say to Spurs fans is he plays his best position is where Son plays, not where Harry Kane plays. So it's a real intriguing one. But one of the reports did suggest that it's Levy that have been looking at Martial. So where we can't afford it, if there's genuine interest in Martial, would I use him as a make weight to get Kane?
Sweetener.
Yeah, I would. I would, especially if we land Jadon Sancho, because that's given us those extra positions in wide areas. But it'd definitely be an interest. The thing is, though, there must be this sense of, I don't know what the word is for it. I don't have a word, but you kind of know that you can't replace Kane with someone better because he's the best. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That is, in terms, in a hypothetical, sort of explanation, it's irreplaceable because we're not going to get anyone better than Kane. And really, is there anyone better than Kane at the moment? You can talk Lewandowski, I understand, but it's not. You get what I'm saying in terms of transfers, like for like. There's no one really out there, and that's the issue.
And the thing is, a lot of people say, I wouldn't spend that much on Kane because of his age. Well, then you wouldn't replace Kane with Lewandowski, then, would you? Because the logic remains.
Yeah,
He's
it
older,
doesn't
so
work out.
there isn't a replacement for Kane. And you look, actually, there is, and you looked at him, but they want 400 grand a week for Haaland, because you'd have the money to buy him because of what Kane's going to generate. But he wants ridiculous money, and that's it. It's such a hard thing. Kane's one of those people. It's because he was an academy player.
Yeah,
it makes it even harder. It isn't like you spent 80 million on him, and it's like, now we want to get a bit of money back. You know, he wants to leave, so we're going to get a return on the investment. If you sell him for 20 million, you've got your money back. Do you know what I mean? Because of what he costs. So it's a real interesting one in relation to that. KJ is going to join us now on the show to have his say. One of our resident hosts. He's here. How you doing, bro?
Yo, you guys good?
Good.
Yeah, man.
Nice. You know, I'm not even talk about Harry Kane because everyone's chatting about it. I don't want him at the expense of Jadon Sancho. I let everyone know that before, and I let everyone know now again. I don't want him if that means we don't get Sancho, bruv. Because we can sign Sancho this summer, go all in for any striker we want next summer. Go for Kane now, cool, we'll have him. But then what wingers are out there next summer after that? Jadon Sancho, we've been after him for how many years? So we're not going to talk about Harry Kane no more. I'm talking about the manager situation at the old Spuds. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I don't know why some Spurs fans, not yourself, Sam, but some Spurs fans are turning their nose at Graham Potter. If you look at what he's done for Brighton, look at how they play, look at the chances they create, it's not his fault that his players spoon shots every left, right, and center. It's not his fault Mopai is out there fighting referees, you know what I'm saying, and getting sent off after games. That's not his fault. I feel like someone like Graham Potter, the effect that he's had at Brighton, the way that they play, that seeped through the entire club, Spurs could use some of that. They could use some of that because some of their players, you got Bergwijn, Mora, Son, you've got Lascelles, Højbjerg, Ndombele. You've got players there that if Graham Potter had, they could do some amazing stuff. I personally believe he can do amazing stuff with these players, and he could let Harry Kane go and re-bolster that squad again. Because you're telling me Basuma wouldn't follow Graham Potter to Spurs if he went? I feel like there's something there that Spurs fans are overlooking just because his name is Graham Potter. You know what I'm saying? So that's my personal opinion.
No, interesting take. I want to ask you about the Sancho thing as well. In terms of, you said obviously you'd rather Sancho over Kane. I see your point in terms of maybe age is on his side as well, Sancho. But the question I wanted to pose back to you is, Kane's going to give you minimum 3-4 seasons of, I'm going to say it, 40 to 45 goals and assists. That turns you guys into a threat, a real threat. I'm talking Champions League. I'm talking Premier League. I think you could go head to head with City. That's the level that he would rise you up to. And it's only very small few amount of tweaks that you need to make after Harry Kane in terms of maybe a centre half, maybe a DM, and then you're up there. And it's all of a sudden City. You're probably looking back and thinking these guys are looking dangerous. So would you rather Sancho? I can understand in terms of he's very exciting, but is he going to get you that sheer amount of contribution in the team that Harry Kane would? Because it's concrete that he would.
I get what you said. Harry Kane's an amazing player. That's something I would never hide away from the fact from. I personally would say that I believe in Cavani for one extra year, and I massively believe in Mason Greenwood. Bringing in the Harry Kane right now, what does that do for Greenwood? Because I personally don't want to see him stuck out on the right-hand side for how many years just for waiting. You know what I mean? I wanted to get more game time down the middle. Cavani and Kane, that again limits his development time up front. So I believe in Greenwood. I believe that Jadon Sancho would elevate us in a way, not the same way, not as much. I would admit that Harry Kane is levels above in terms of what he brings to the team in terms of goals. But Jadon Sancho had 20 plus assists for the 3 consecutive years in a row. That's very unheard of at the age that he is as well. So I feel like him bringing that, and plus he gets 10 plus goals a year. So that's what we need. With a Cavani getting a 15 to 20, with a Rashford getting a 15 to 20, with Bruno Fernandes, who's on the verge of getting 30 goals all season for Manchester United, I feel like we've got enough goal scorers and enough firepower. We've got Martial to potentially come back into form. we've got so much firepower already. Where for me, it's like adding Harry Kane is a bit overkill. You know what I mean? So Man United, we need more key positions: DM, right wing, centre back, which we could fulfill quicker if we got those now, then buy Harry Kane now and then try and get the rest later.
What's interesting, I agree with what you're saying, Cenk, in terms of I think he could score us into a title race. The problem we have is what happens in a year or two's time. It would almost feel like the RVP situation. Hindsight's lucrative, as we know, but we had problems in defense, problems in midfield, other problems in attack, and we papered over that crack because RVP got us through. And then the season after that, we finished 7th. I know we had Moyes, not Fergie, but we finished 7th. And ever since then, we've never really refound our feet. I kind of feel like if we brought in Sancho this summer and a good midfielder and rebuilt, I think in a year's time, then we'd be ready for a Harry Kane-esque kind of player. It's the creativity that we lack, though, and I still think he could score us more moving forward. But I wouldn't want to risk sort of the medium to long-term quality of the squad over the short-term success of landing Harry Kane.
Yeah.
But if we announce Harry Kane, I'm still excited because I know how good he is. It's honestly, it feels like a bittersweet thing for me. What I'm really annoyed about, and this is back onto the Glazer talk, we should have the money to buy both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the last 2 years since COVID hit, the money we've spent on dividends and loan repayments and loan interest would cover the signing of both. So that's where I'm frustrated. We have the money, we have the income to sign both, but the way we operate as a football club, that from a financial structure, means we can't afford to do it. And it's so that's the bit that I'm more annoyed. And I think fans have got to not lose sight of that. That the reason we can't afford both is because of the way we're run as a football club. A-Spec Limited here says all clubs need to get their business done before the Kane deal. It will inflate the market. There is an element of that. If Kane goes for 100 and it's say someone did spend 150 million pounds on him, the precedence that sets is just ridiculous for a player of that level, and everybody's valuation starts to shoot up. It will stimulate that market again. No doubt about it.
That's true. That's what I want the Jadon Sancho's transfer done early, like that it looking like it's going to be. And then if we did that and we're still in for Kane, Kane, come over to Old Trafford, innit? You know what I'm saying?
In terms of Sancho, obviously the Euros is coming up as well, so that's another place. Not place as such, like a competition where his price is going to inflate again. Same as Harry Kane. Harry Kane can come back of a golden boot in the Euros, and all of a sudden the price is 10-15% more. Same as Sancho. He could go and have a great tournament, and then the price is 10-15% more again. So surely you guys wrap that up before the Euros and get it done early. Then his mind's at United State. United players at England, you can get along with them, get that chemistry.
Listen, that train of thought is exactly what I want Man United to do. But I call our 8 owners pagans, innit? Because that's what they are, fam. You know what I'm saying? So, like your pagans that you've got, pagans too, bro. So you can't trust them.
Yeah, 100%. And it's interesting when you read the reports from a lot of the credibles out there, credible journalists in relation to the Kane deal and to the Sancho deal. The same line's been used in every report. Both players want these deals done before the Euros. One, because they know it could be harder after the Euros if they do well. And secondly, they just want to focus on that tournament. And as a Man United, I'm sure even as a Spurs fan, whatever happens, you'd want this done early. The worst thing with the Harry Kane deal would be to get 2 weeks into the season and then you sell him. And it's like, well, how do we replace him? And it's about getting these deals done early, getting your ducks in a row. But that's what well-run clubs do. And I'm not too sure whether our clubs fall into that. We're going to do a few last calls before we end today's show. First up, Le Red Devil from France is here. What are you saying, bro?
Hey, guys. First, I wanted to say I totally agree about especially what you and KG have been saying. And I just want to make a wake-up call to all the United fans, because I've been seeing on Twitter since last night about Kane, that our Kane is going to come, we're going to win the league. Guys, wake up. They forgot who our owners are as well. 150 million for Harry Kane. And then what happens? What about the centre back? What about the CDM? What about the right wing? You know, if our owners was Abramovich All right, we get Kane, we get Sancho, we get Rice. But if we buy Kane, our transfer spree is done. We aren't buying anyone else. And a striker isn't a priority. You guys have mentioned it already. We've got Cavani, who signed for 1 year, one more year. We've got Greenwood, who can do a job. Martial, I still trust Martial. So, come on, guys, come on. That's crazy.
No, I do hear you. I actually saw a Man United fan tweet this morning that said basically said if you're even considering Sancho over Kane, you don't understand football. And I think Harry Kane's amazing. I'm looking at it this way: if you don't understand that Man United have had a hole on the right hand side of our attack since Ronaldo left in 2009. You don't understand Man United, because for me, like that's how long that hole has been there at the club, and I completely get where you're coming through, the Red Devil. Thank you very much for that call, mate. Top man. Final call. Matt is going to be with us. Matt, what are you saying? Matt? Oh, his signal ain't working. He's not there. There we go, gents. I appreciate you both coming on. Jen, thank you very much. I know you've been on that Tottenham show in a past, but thank you for making your first appearance on one of my shows, mate. It means a great deal. That's Spurs. We have some Spurs fans that come on. Alan comes on a lot. Flix comes on. We have Alex. Alex is great, but he doesn't like anything positive about his club. He doesn't like anything negative about his club. He likes to be under a rock.
His opinion is what Alistair Gold tells him to have. That's what his opinion is.
I mean, he must mention Alistair Gold about 5 times a day in the group chat. Alistair Gold said, you know, the little kids say, but my mum said, but my dad said. That's him with Mr. Gold. It's just like loves it, like he couldn't believe. Cenk, let everyone know where they can find you, bro.
On Twitter, at Cenk Coys, always tweeting away as usual on my phone. On YouTube as well, got my own little channel. Same thing, at Cenk Coys. So if you'd like to see some Spurs content, going to do maybe some European football stuff as well. Transfers in the summer, so feel free to head over there and check it out. But again, big thanks to Terry and the Football Terrace platform for bringing me on and giving my platform to voice my opinion, talk about Kane. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and keep supporting the Football Terrace.
Top man, I appreciate that a lot. We're back live after Man United, Fulham, and after tonight, the big one tonight. I keep forgetting this game's happening tonight. Leicester versus Chelsea.
The Champions League playoff.
It literally, I mean, the team that loses tonight, can you imagine? I mean, I know you want to win tonight, Cenk. And absolutely. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. Take